She buttoned the top of her blouse 3 times before finally leaving it undone. I was watching from the hallway mirror, not like a creep, but like someone staring at the exact second their life derailed. She didn't know I was standing there. Or maybe she did, and didn't care anymore. I wasn't supposed to see her at all. She told me she was going to her sister's for some needed air. Said she'd be back by 11. Said I shouldn't overthink things. Said it in that casual, dismissive tone that turns your stomach to acid. But something about her voice made me walk to the hallway. And that's when I saw the red dress. Not just any red dress. That one. The one she swore was too extra for anyone but me. The one she said she only ever wore to make me forget how bad my day was. Except today wasn't about me. Today, she was meeting someone. I knew it. My gut screamed it. And her perfume, God, the perfume I got her for our anniversary, was practically leaking down the stairs. She turned, caught my reflection, and didn't flinch. You weren't supposed to see me, she said. No guilt. Just irritation. Like I was interrupting. I asked, who is it? She took her time grabbing her purse. Someone who listens. Don't start. It's not like I'm sleeping with him. You're going on a date. It's dinner. You curled your hair. She rolled her eyes so hard I thought they might fall out. I'll make it up to you later, Clyde. Stop acting like I killed your dog. That line. That damn line. I'll make it up to you later. I don't know what set me off more, her casual tone, the way she used my name like a formality, or the fact that she knew she was crossing a line and just stepped over it anyway. I said, don't come back if you leave. I'm warning you. She scoffed. What are you going to do? Finally grow a spine. I didn't answer. She slammed the door behind her. The hallway shook. And so did I. I walked back into the living room. The TV was still on pause from when I was trying to show her that stupid documentary about birds that mate for life. I sat down, unpaused it, and just let it play to the sound of my own breathing and the echoes of her heels disappearing into someone else's night. Hours passed. The kind of hours that don't tick, just bleed. Then, at 12:42 a.m., the front door opened. And what she said the moment she stepped inside. That was when everything truly broke. The words she shouldn't have said. When the door creaked open at nearly 1 a.m., I didn't look up right away. I'd been sitting on the couch for so long that my back had gone numb and my phone battery had given up just as I finished typing a text I never sent. Are you okay? But I heard her heels first, soft, hesitant clicks like she didn't want to wake the house she abandoned. Only she forgot that houses don't sleep, and neither do the people waiting in them. She walked in humming. That's what got me. Humming. Not a sad melody, not a remorseful one. No, she was humming something upbeat, something cheap and bright, like the theme song from a show I never liked but she always watched alone. I turned off the TV with the remote, not because I was ready to talk, but because I needed her to feel how loud the silence was about to become. Hey, she said with a sugary voice, you're still up? Still up. As if I'd dozed off mid-foot rub and just happened to wake up. I stood up slowly, trying to read her face. Her lipstick was faded but still visible, her hair tousled in a way that wasn't accidental, and there was a jacket draped over her arm that didn't belong to either of us. Did you go out in his jacket? I asked, not hiding the shake in my voice. She blinked, caught off guard, and tried to laugh. It got cold, she shrugged. Relax, Clyde. It was just dinner. I took a step forward. Then why do you smell like his cologne? That stopped her. Her lips parted, but nothing came out for a second. Then she crossed her arms and did that thing where she shifted the blame without saying a word. You're being dramatic, she muttered. You said you weren't going to wait up. I told you I'd make it up to you. Her voice dripped with irritation, like I was embarrassing her in front of guests we didn't have. I couldn't hold it anymore. You went out with another man, Val. You dressed up, you lied, and you came home in his damn jacket. Don't spin this like I'm the one ruining the night. She dropped the coat on the floor like it was evidence and sighed, loudly, dramatically. It's not cheating, okay? It's dinner. Maybe some drinks. We just talk. He listens. That's all. My mouth felt dry. Do you kiss when you talk? Her eyes narrowed, and she took a step closer. Do you listen when I talk? She shot back. Do you notice me anymore? Because all you do is complain about your job and rewatch the same 3 shows like life's already over. I flinched. I actually flinched. So your solution is to go date strangers? He's not a stranger, she said instantly. And there it was. The mistake. The misstep. The thing she hadn't meant to admit. I laughed. Not because it was funny, God, it wasn't. But because I couldn't cry anymore without feeling like I'd drown. Not a stranger. Great. So how long have you two been not strangers? She turned her face away and walked into the kitchen like the conversation was over. But I followed. You crossed the line tonight, Val. And you did it knowing exactly what it meant. She opened the fridge and grabbed water like I wasn't even there. What do you want me to say? That I feel guilty? That I didn't think this would hurt you? Because honestly, Clyde, I didn't think you cared enough for this to even register. That was it. That was the sentence. The one I'll remember forever. I didn't think you cared enough. I froze. I could feel my heartbeat in my ears, in my jaw, in the back of my eyes. I turned away and went upstairs. She didn't follow. She didn't apologize. She finished her water and left the glass in the sink. I lay in our bed alone, wide awake, hearing the clink of her rings as she placed them on the bathroom counter like she didn't know whether she was still married or not. I knew, at that exact moment, that this was no longer a mistake. This was a direction, a choice. She had picked something or someone over what we built, over what I gave up pieces of myself to maintain. And she did it with a smile, in a red dress, wearing someone else's scent. That night, I started planning my exit, not from the marriage, not yet, but from the version of me who still hoped she might love me back. The lie that wasn't even clever. The morning after was quiet. Not peaceful, just quiet in that unbearable way, where every movement sounds like a scream. Valerie was already up when I came downstairs. She was on her second cup of coffee, scrolling on her phone like nothing happened. Like the night before was just some blip in an otherwise normal marriage. She glanced at me and nodded toward the half-empty pot. There's still some left if you want. That was it. No, about last night. No, we should talk. Not even a flicker of guilt in her eyes. She was acting like she'd forgotten the things she said. Or worse, maybe she hadn't forgotten. Maybe she meant every single word. I poured the coffee but didn't drink it. I just held the mug because my hands were shaking, and pretending to sip made it feel like I had control. She looked up at me, not even pausing whatever reel she was watching, and said, "Don't be weird today, okay? I have errands." My mouth opened, then closed. I didn't even know where to start. I wanted to yell, throw something, drag the truth out of her inch by inch. But instead, I asked the stupidest question imaginable. "Did you sleep with him?" She blinked, finally set her phone down, and tilted her head like she was trying to decide whether I deserved an honest answer. "No," she said. "God, no. Not yet. Not yet." She actually said, "Not yet." And then she stood up and added, "But don't worry. If I ever do, you'll be the first to know. I'm not some cheater, Clyde." That line almost made me laugh. Not because it was funny, but because it was the kind of lie that tried to wear honesty like a mask. She thought if she told me in advance, it would make it okay. That she could stroll out of the house, emotionally strap herself to someone else, and as long as she kept the physical line uncrossed, barely, it wouldn't count. Like I should be grateful she hadn't done more. I followed her to the door. "What errands are these?" I asked. Or should I ask who? She turned slowly and looked me up and down, like I was the world's most exhausting puzzle she had no interest in solving anymore. "You think everything's about him now? You think I don't have a life outside of this house and that one dinner?" She was already reaching for her keys. "Jesus, Clyde, I went out one time. One night. And now you're tracking my every move like a parole officer." "One night?" I said quietly. "You're calling that one night?" She paused, just for a breath. It was subtle, but I saw it. That second of hesitation. That's when I knew last night wasn't the first. Not even close. "So how long?" I asked, my voice lower now. "How long has it been going on?" She sighed, like I'd asked her to take out the trash. "You're being ridiculous. It's not a thing, Clyde. We talk. We get drinks. It's nothing serious. Nothing serious." The words stung more than if she'd just admitted everything. Because that meant she was throwing us away for nothing. Like 12 years meant less than 2 cocktails and a compliment from a guy who probably still lives with his dog in a beanbag chair. She walked out the door without another word. And this time, I didn't chase her. Instead, I went to the bedroom and opened her closet. I wasn't snooping, not at first. But there was something I needed to know. Some proof that I wasn't crazy. That I wasn't just paranoid or jealous or broken. And I found it. In the side pocket of her gym bag, buried under leggings she hadn't worn in months, a card. A stupid, glossy little thing from a rooftop restaurant across town, one we'd never been to together. On the back, a handwritten note. "Last night was perfect. Can't stop thinking about your laugh." No name. Just a number. No lipstick marks. Just a pin stroke with meaning. I sat on the edge of our bed, holding that card like it was a match, and everything I believed was kindling. That night, I didn't confront her. I did something worse. I pretended nothing had changed. I smiled when she came home. I asked if she wanted pizza. I offered to watch her show with her, the one I secretly hated. And when she fell asleep on the couch with her phone still unlocked next to her leg, I made a choice I didn't know I was capable of. I picked up the phone, not to read it, but to forward something. To myself. His name was hidden, but she wasn't hiding anymore. The message thread I forwarded to myself that night changed everything. I didn't even have to dig deep. He wasn't saved as a contact. No clever nickname. Just a number. But their conversations went back months. Hundreds of messages. Scrolling through them was like watching someone else's life unfold in my own living room, but with my wife playing a lead role I never auditioned for. It wasn't just about flirting. There were long, winding paragraphs about how numb she felt with me, how she needed to feel alive again, how he made her laugh in a way she hadn't laughed in years. He called her Red. I guess because of her hair. She called him M. That was it. Just M. Like he was some fantasy figure, not a real man sleeping in my reality. She told him about our routines, when I worked late, when I was tired, when I'd fall asleep on the couch. She sent him pictures. Some tame. Some I didn't know she still took of herself. She said things like, I wish I could just disappear with you, and he's a good man, but I'm done feeling like furniture. Furniture. That one hurt more than all the lingerie selfies combined. I didn't sleep that night. I just lay on the guest bed staring at the ceiling, my own pulse ticking like a countdown clock I couldn't reset. She had fallen asleep peacefully on the couch downstairs, curled up under the throw blanket my mom crocheted for us 2 Christmases ago. The same blanket we used when she had the flu, when I stayed home from work just to make her soup and run the humidifier every 2 hours. But now she used it as a prop, part of the cozy lie she'd wrapped herself in while texting another man how empty I made her feel. By morning, I had a decision to make. Part of me wanted to confront her immediately, throw the phone on the kitchen counter and read every line out loud until she either collapsed from guilt or screamed back some pitiful defense. But the other part, the part of me that had been worn down for years, told me to wait, to plan, because she didn't expect me to do anything. Not really. And that gave me the only power I had left, the power of her underestimation. That morning, she acted as if nothing was wrong. She even made pancakes. She hadn't made pancakes in 6 months. She asked if I wanted blueberries or chocolate chips. I said chocolate, and she smiled like we were in a cereal commercial. But I could see it. She was lighter, happier. She thought I had swallowed the lie, that maybe I'd accepted her night out as a one-time event, or maybe just given up entirely. And then she said something that nearly made me choke on the first bite. I think we should take a weekend apart, she said, flipping her hair and sipping her coffee. I just need time to think. I feel like I've lost myself a little. I asked her where she wanted to go. She shrugged. Maybe just get a hotel downtown. Just breathe. I nodded. Told her it sounded healthy. Told her I'd support her space. Told her to take all the time she needed. But inside, I was screaming. Later that afternoon, while she was out grabbing toiletries for the weekend, I opened her laptop. She never logged out of her email. I wasn't expecting much, but I found the reservation. A boutique hotel. 2 nights. 1 king bed. Under her name. And the confirmation email had a little note. Please add rose petals to the bed upon arrival. I stared at that line for nearly 5 minutes. Rose petals. Like she was starring in some high-budget romantic comedy instead of dismantling 12 years of marriage. And here's the part that might make you hate me. I still didn't call her out. Not yet. Because I realized something. The longer she believed I was clueless, the more honest she'd be with him. That weekend, I let her go. She kissed me on the cheek. Said, don't wait up. Smiled. I smiled back. The second she walked out the door, I opened my email and booked a room in the exact same hotel. 3 floors up. 3 floors up, watching my own wife. Checking into that hotel was the most humiliating thing I've ever done. I didn't even recognize myself in the elevator mirror, shirt wrinkled, face pale, holding a duffel bag that didn't even have anything useful inside. Just a book I couldn't read and a charger for a phone I didn't want to look at. I wasn't there as a man with a plan. I was there as a man clinging to the last frayed thread of clarity. My room was cold, over-air-conditioned, sleek, modern, all things my marriage wasn't anymore. I dropped my bag and immediately walked to the hallway window that overlooked the valet lane. I waited. 15 minutes later, I saw her. She stepped out of a black car, not an Uber, too nice. He stepped out right after her. Tall, confident, sunglasses on, even though it was cloudy. He laughed at something she said, touched her lower back as they walked in together. I didn't breathe. I just watched them disappear through the glass doors, and a part of me, the pathetic part, still hoped they booked 2 separate rooms. They didn't. I waited 10 minutes, then another 20. Then I took the elevator down and walked past the front desk pretending to be interested in the snack fridge. The concierge was distracted. I leaned over just enough to see the guest check-in log left half covered behind the counter. Room 412. Her handwriting. Back upstairs, I sat on the edge of the bed and stared at the room phone. I could call. I could pretend to be reception. I could blow it all up with one press of a button. But I didn't. Instead, I opened the app on my phone that mirrored hers, the one I installed when I sent those messages to myself. And what I read nearly made me vomit. The room's perfect. I wish I could stay like this forever. You smell like comfort. I stood up, paced the floor, sat down again. I wasn't angry. I wasn't even sad. I was numb. And the numbness terrified me more than heartbreak ever had. It felt like being erased, slowly and politely, while the world applauded. The messages kept coming. They joked about me. I was a character in their story, a cautionary tale about boring husbands and predictable marriages. She even typed, "He probably thinks I'm at a yoga retreat," followed by a string of laughing emojis. She never used emojis with me. Said they were childish. But I guess infidelity makes everything playful. I couldn't sit anymore. I needed to see it. Not just imagine it, not through a screen. I needed to know what she looked like when she kissed him. If she smiled differently. If her eyes still closed the same way. So I left my room. Took the stairs down 1 floor. My heart thudded louder than my footsteps. Room 412 was down the left corridor. I stood across from the door and waited, pretending to scroll on my phone every time I heard movement. After what felt like forever, I heard laughter. Real, full-bodied laughter. Hers. Followed by silence. And then a thump. Like someone bumping into a wall. My ears burned. My face went hot. But I didn't move. I stayed outside that door for 24 minutes. And then it opened. Just a crack. Not enough to see inside. But enough for me to see her hand. And the jacket hanging off her shoulder. Not hers. His. She stepped into the hall to grab something from the tray, champagne. They were toasting. To what? I don't know. To him winning her? To me finally losing? She didn't see me. I turned my back just in time, eyes locked on the elevator light. She went back inside. The door shut. A soft click. And I knew then, finally, fully, without question, there was no coming back from this. But I didn't knock. Not yet. Because I wanted her to believe she still had control. And the next morning, when she walked through our front door again, pretending to be tired and innocent and sweet, I was already 1 step ahead. Because I didn't come home that night. And for the first time in 12 years, she noticed. The first morning she couldn't predict me. I didn't go home that night. I couldn't. Not because I had some grand plan to disappear or punish her, but because I physically couldn't bring myself to walk back into that house and pretend to be anything but shattered. Instead, I drove aimlessly. I parked by the lake. Slept with the seat reclined and the windows cracked. The sound of water lapping against the dock was the only thing that felt real. I turned my phone off. No texts. No calls. No "where are you" messages from her. I guess she didn't expect to hear from me. Or maybe she thought she'd see me in the kitchen again, standing like a ghost beside a fresh pot of coffee, pretending to be a husband. The next morning, I went home just after 8:30. Quietly. I didn't slam the door. Didn't announce myself. I just slipped inside and waited to see if she'd react. But the house was still. Too still. The kind of still that makes your skin itch. And then I heard her upstairs, drawers opening, then closing, her footsteps moving fast. She came down wearing that faux concern look she usually saved for when she couldn't find her phone. "You weren't here," she said, trying to sound casual. I was worried. I stared at her. Not angry. Not even accusatory. Just tired. So unbelievably tired. "Were you?" I asked. And that was all it took. The shift in power. The flicker in her expression, like she suddenly wasn't sure what version of me she was speaking to. Of course, she replied too quickly. "I called you." Lie. I had turned my phone on in the car. No missed calls. No voicemails. Just 2 unread emails from stores I never shopped at. "I needed air," I said, walking past her. "Just like you did." She followed me into the kitchen. "Look, Clyde, if this is about the weekend, I told you I needed space. It's not fair to hold that against me. I turned slowly. Val, you booked a hotel with someone else. You asked them for rose petals. You let them put their jacket on you like you were already theirs. Her face went pale. Just for a moment. How do you? I stepped closer. You're not good at hiding things. You're just good at assuming I'm too weak to notice. Silence stretched between us. It hung heavy, like fog in a closed room. She blinked. I didn't mean for it to become anything. It felt nice to be wanted. There it was. Wanted. Like I was just some lukewarm version of affection, and she needed the real thing to remind her she still had a pulse. I nodded slowly. You know, I read your messages. All of them. From him. She opened her mouth to speak, but nothing came out. You said I made you feel like furniture, I added, softer this time. But you never once told me you were breaking. You just went shopping for replacements. Her eyes welled, but I didn't move. I didn't comfort her. For the first time in our marriage, I let her cry without rushing in to save her from herself. Please, she whispered. Don't do anything rash. Let's talk. Let's talk. I cut in. No? After months of you talking to someone else while pretending to just be tired, or busy, or needing space. She looked at me with something close to fear. Not because I'd ever hurt her, but because she realized the man standing in front of her wasn't going to absorb it all anymore. I was no longer a sponge for her selfishness. I was a mirror. She tried to pivot. I didn't sleep with him. You need to know that. We never. I raised a hand. You shared things with him I begged to hear from you. You gave him your laughter. You gave him the version of you I haven't seen in years. Whether you slept with him or not doesn't change that. She stood frozen, suddenly realizing the apology she planned wouldn't work here. That I wasn't one speech away from falling back into line. I picked up my keys. I need a few more days. She stepped forward. Where are you going? For once, I said, opening the door, I'm not telling you. And the sound of that door closing behind me felt like a full sentence. Like a sentence she didn't get to rewrite. The night her lover showed up at my door. The next 2 days, I disappeared. Not literally, I didn't run away to another city or vanish into the mountains. I just became invisible in her world. I didn't reply to her messages. I didn't come home. She wrote things like, we need to talk. I want to explain. It's not what you think. But I had stopped thinking. I was just watching. I wanted to wait for the moment when her lies collapsed under their own weight. And it came sooner than I expected. On the evening of the 3rd day, I returned home. I knew she'd be there. Her car was in its usual spot, but the house was dark. Strange. Even unsettling. I slid the key in, stepped inside. Silence. Total silence. I walked past the kitchen, and that's when I heard a man's voice. In my house. He said, I don't want to hide anymore. Either we're together or we're nothing. I froze in the hallway, heart pounding in my throat. She answered so quietly I couldn't make out the words. But when he raised his voice, I heard everything. He won't figure it out. He's weak. He's always been. Weak. That's what she called me. To another man. In my house. On my couch. And something in me shifted. Not dramatically. Not suddenly. It just went quiet inside, like the slow fading of a fire. I stepped back onto the porch, closed the door gently behind me, and sat in my car. I didn't make a scene. I didn't kick the door down. I didn't scream her name. I just didn't want to be there anymore. I drove to a different hotel, not the same one where she had her weekend to herself, but a cheap, forgettable one that barely had guests. I booked one night. I lay on the bed and kept thinking the same thing. She isn't afraid I'll find out anymore. Because she's convinced I won't do a thing. So I did the first real thing I'd done in months. I texted her sister. The one who never really liked me but always hated lies. I sent her screenshots of their messages. Then photos from the hotel. And finally, a video from the hidden camera I'd quietly placed at home after her first date. Not for revenge. For the truth. So that someone in her world would know who she'd really become. Less than an hour later, I got a message back. You don't deserve this. She broke you. It was the first time I felt truly seen. And in that moment, I decided I wouldn't stay silent anymore. The next morning at 7:42 a.m., my phone rang. Unsaved number, but I knew. It was him. M, the affair partner. His voice was cold, measured. Can we meet? He asked. Not to fight, just to talk. I agreed. Not out of curiosity. Not for revenge. Just one quiet urge. I needed to look him in the eye. See the man she called real. And you know what? He wasn't a monster. He was ordinary. Maybe even a little pathetic. We sat at a cafe on the edge of town. He stared at me like he was bracing for an explosion. But I didn't explode. I just listened. He told me she lied to him about everything. That I hit her. That I cheated. That I only wanted kids to check a box. That she was afraid of me. He said he thought he was protecting her. But now he realized she was just using two men differently. I finished my coffee and said one thing. She wasn't afraid of me. She was afraid of herself. And you were just her tool to feel alive while she was rotting inside. He didn't respond. I stood, left some cash on the table, and walked out. I wasn't afraid to lose her anymore. Because I already had. And more importantly, I no longer wanted to get back what had stopped existing long ago. After meeting with him, I didn't go home right away. I had nowhere I needed to be. I walked through half the city, feeling something shift with every step. I wasn't thinking about her, or him, or the lies. I was thinking about myself. And for the first time in a very, very long while, there was peace in that. When I returned the next day, she was sitting on the stairs by the entryway, red-eyed and holding a letter. I had left it before I walked out, a single sheet. No threats, no rage, just one sentence. I'm not your foundation if you built your life on me instead of with me. She didn't speak. Not right away. No excuses. No spin. Just silence. I walked to the kitchen, drank some water, and sat across from her. She tried to talk, but I raised my hand gently. I didn't come to save this marriage, Valerie, I said. I came to take myself back. She cried. Not hysterically, not dramatically, just quietly. And in that silence, I saw the truth. She didn't love me anymore. And I no longer wanted her to try. A week later, I moved out. Not to stay with friends or family. Into a small rented apartment with old wooden floors that creaked every morning. But I loved that sound, because it was mine. I started over. No drama. No social posts. No announcements. I went back to my old job part-time, signed up for therapy, and for the first time, I heard my own voice not as an echo of her criticism, but as something real. 2 months later, I met Sierra. No, this isn't a story about the woman who healed me. She didn't rescue me. She was simply there when I already knew how to stand. We met volunteering at a local animal shelter. She didn't know who I was or what I'd been through, and she didn't ask. We scrubbed cages together, laughed at ridiculous stories about the dogs, and ate greasy pizza on the back steps like teenagers. I don't know if it's love, but I know it's light. And I had forgotten what it felt like to carry myself lightly. A month ago, I got a letter. From Valerie. No apologies. No pleas to fix things. She wrote that she sold the house. That she was moving. That she wasn't sorry for losing me, but sorry for making me lose myself. And maybe, she said, now that we're distant, we're finally honest. I didn't reply. Not out of anger. Just because there was no need. Sometimes the ending isn't a bang. It's a quiet bench by the river. A warm cup of coffee. A smile. Not because it all worked out, but because you're no longer stuck inside what fell apart. I didn't win, but I walked away. And it turns out, that was enough to start living again.